Have you ever wondered about how to play Scrabble? How do you even reply a play from your opponent? And what should you do when your opponents play illegal words? Well, you've come to the right video. Hello everyone, it's me Haras. Today I am going to show you a tutorial about how to play Scrabble. Scrabble is a word game in which 2 to 4 players score points by placing tiles, each bearing a single letter, onto a game board divided into a 15 x 15 grid of squares. Originally, it was called Crisscross. The game, which was based on the crossword puzzle and anagrams, was developed by Alfred Mosher Butts, an architect, in 1931. It was redesigned, renamed as Scrabble, and marketed by James Brunot in 1948. It was first sold in Great Britain in 1954. Scrabble was later produced in many foreign languages, Braille and magnetic editions, and continued to be one of the leading board and tile games in the United States. Tournaments have been held in the United States since 1973. In 2005, Scrabblers, an unauthorized online version of Scrabble, was released, and 2 years later it debuted on the social networking site Facebook. The online version's immense popularity on the site soon caught the attention of Hasbro, owner of Scrabble's North American rights. Facing a lawsuit by Hasbro, Scrabble's creators Rajat Agrawala and Jayant Agrawala in 2008 released Word Scraper, a Scrabble-like game that allows players to design their own board. And later that year, Facebook disabled Scrabblers for their North American users. The game, however, was available on its own website, though by late 2008 it was known as Letzeless. Following a court-mandated renaming, Hasbro also made the official Scrabble game available through Facebook. That's for the history of Scrabble. Let's get into the game. In Scrabble, players earn points by constructing words with letter tiles and placing them on a 15 x 15 grid. The winner is determined if one player has the highest score. You can play up to 4 players in game. You will need a Scrabble board, 4 racks, a bag with 100 tiles in it, and a pen and paper to jot marks down. In this tutorial, I think 2 players is enough. Each player starts off by drawing a tile from the bag. The player who drew a tile closest to A starts the game. Wait, what an empty tile? Yes, this is called a blank. And a blank defeats the A at the start of the game. Cool! Now that we know who starts the game, now how do we start the game? Each player draws 7 tiles from the bag and places it onto their rack, starting with the first player. Let's say you are the first person to start. With your tiles on your rack, you have to start at the very middle of the board, which is H8. Note that the middle square has 2 functions. First is to indicate where to play, second is that it acts as a double word. We'll discuss about that later. You can either play horizontally or vertically, but not diagonally. After ending your turn, you have to draw tiles from the bag until you have a maximum of 7 tiles. Next, the second player can start to play anywhere on the board, as long as it must touch an existing tile and not placing the tiles diagonally. It's like a crossword fashion. The game goes on. Tired of just board and lame perpendicular plays? Guess what? You can also play any parallel plays or by hooking a letter to an existing word during the middle game, as long as it is a word and it touches an existing tile. The most common tile that you can hook is obviously S, as it can attach a singular to a plural. So how do you count the points? Each letter has assigned a value to the side, so the values are their points. But wait, what about this blank? As its name stated, it costs 0 points, but it can be whatever letter in the alphabet. It can be a H, A, R, or Z, or any other letter in the alphabet, but it costs 0. A parallel play or hooks must count the value of each word separately and add them up. For example, div costs 7, E costs 3, and off costs 5. Totaling up is 15 points. As you can see on the board, there are 4 colored squares. the double letter, double word, triple letter, and triple word. Letter multipliers lets you to double or triple the value of the letter only when playing a word, whereas word multipliers lets you to double the amount of the word value that hits the premium square. Any word that covers both the letter and word multiplier, it will be doubling or tripling the letter first before doubling or tripling the word. Any play which was attached to a used premium square will not consider the bonus again. 1 plus 1 plus 1 times 2 plus 2 plus 4, which is equals to 9 points. Notice that the y has a double letter score by not doubling the value due to the fact that it has already been used. Here, I play the word illusion from an existing ill. The score will be 1 plus 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 1 times 2, which is 16 points. Notice that the L has a triple letter score, but I am not tripling it because it has already been used. Suppose you make this play and it shared a premium square, which will count the bonus for both words. In this case, boy is 3 plus 1 plus 4 times 2, which is equals to 12, and yawning is 4 times 2 plus 1 plus 4 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 2 equals to 18. So if you add them up, 12 plus 18 is 30 points. Let's say you are lucky and use all of your tiles from your rack. Good news, you'll get a bonus of 50 points from your total score. Before adding the bonus, all premium squares must be counted first to the value of the play. This is called bingos. It doesn't have to be a 7-letter word, you just need to use all of the tiles in your rack in one play. To jot down scores, one person shall volunteer to become the scorekeeper and keep tracking down the scores from time to time. Let's say your opponent is very sneaky and he plays something that is not a word. In this case, you can always say challenge and check the word on a lexicon or an official dictionary after the player has finished his play. If it is a word, depends on which type of game you are playing. There are single, no penalty after challenging a valid word, double, turn loss after challenging a word, or even triple, you immediately lose the game. Or even your opponents can get an additional of 5 points or 10. It depends on the type of game you are playing. Void games are not possible to be challenged as the play shall be checked before the next player will be able to place his or her tiles. If it is not a word then, or if the word isn't available in the dictionary, then your opponent has to take their tiles back and they miss their turn. If one player has made more than one word but one of them is an invalid word, then his or her play is invalid and missed a turn. Speaking of missing a turn, what will you play if your tiles are this? Your mind just stopped processing, right? Well, don't worry, you can always exchange tiles from the back up to 7 letters at once. Just make sure that the back has at least 7 letters. If there are less than 7 tiles and you can't play anything, you have to pass. To exchange, you have to pick the tiles you want to exchange facing down. Then, draw the replacement tiles and add them to your rack. You can place your discarded tiles into the back. Much better. Passing a turn during the middle game is also optional. If you want your opponent to open up some space, then you are allowed to pass. So how do you end a game? It's simple. There are only three possible ways. 1. When the person has used all of their tiles and the bag is empty. In this case, the leftover tiles on the other rack will be summed up and multiplied by 2, and the total will be added into the person who finished the game. 2. When there are no more possible moves on the board. Or 3. When both players have passed 3 times in a row. For this one, the leftover tiles on each rack will be subtracted from each player's total score. You don't have to multiply by 2. At the end of the game, the person who has the highest score wins the game. But if you are unlucky, you might end up in a draw. After the game, arrange the tiles into a 5 times 5 square in each corner of the board. Make sure there are 100 tiles, including blanks. That's all for my video. I hope not only you enjoy this video, but also have interest in playing Scrabble. See you next time.